Crypto market right now is at $1.2 trillion and Bitcoin is showing some weakness on a shorter time horizon. So what will the implications be? For all of us who are in the crypto market now, I would urge to look for macro understanding before you go look at the short-term charts. So right now, yes, we do see these levels. So keep in mind, to understand whether the bulls are strong or not, we'll have to think about three different levels. I personally believe that it gives us a clarity about how strong the bulls are, or how much of these people who bought in Bitcoin at this range or below here are taking profits and moving out. That's what I mean by the strength of bulls, because that directly jump into the price action for the altcoins. Say XRP, we are looking at XRP like this. Ether, we are looking at Ether on a daily chart and we observe that it did break through. So what's the next move going to be? It's more or less following Bitcoin. There is no doubt in that understanding. Like, we were going through all of these different assets to see what can we look for in the medium term, right? Not the ultra long term. And we do understand, like, okay, this is going to play out as a major push to the upside. Next big moves in the alt market will be coming. Now, what would be the factors which actually will ignite that fire into the altcoin market? That's what we are going to detail here today. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where the normal retail guys learn how to become the next top 10% of this world. I'm really happy to see that some of you are here from a long time. The channel will be 4 years by this November, and if you guys have been watching this for like last 3 years, I'm so happy that you guys are still here and you find value and information from this channel. Thank you for the support. Now, going into the market, this is a daily chart. So what are we looking at? We just saw that the price consolidated here close to the resistance, and initially we got rejected, but then that was a V-shaped recovery. It went through this level of resistance, which was staying there from a long period of time, and now we broke that level. Now, once we see that we broke that level, we need to get a bit more noise to understand what the market is really showing us. So that actually dictates that this is your moving average. First time you did the 1, 2, 3 movement, you corrected back down with the 1, 2, 3. So that's A, B, C to the downside and 5 waves to the upside. Now what we are looking at is the same thing: 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 to the upside, and most likely a B, C pattern. Now we need to actually see how low we are going to go, right? So for that, it's now short term. You can go into a 2-hour chart or an hourly chart. It depends on how much noise you want in the market to literally observe what's happening. So right now on an hourly chart, we're just starting to break through this level of support. So it's not like a huge big range. And what we have to understand is, even what this is happening right now, it's happening, I agree. But even in that case, on a daily chart, what we are looking for is an inside candle. Take all of this out, get more clarity. Remember what we talked about here, getting about an inside candle. That's one of the bullish signals which you can get in the market. Meaning the price went up. And it closed there, which means the bulls retained the new land. Consider it like a war. You go kick out the enemies and put that flag there. Now you want till that range. Next step, you want to move further from there. The war is there, right? Now that's the border. In the same thought process, here we are trying to fight off the bulls. So while getting this daily close, it is really, reassuring that, okay, the bulls managed to close that day there. And the next day was just a consolidation, meaning a lot of people would be taking profits and moving out. So now we go back to the initial thought process which we laid off. How low we are going to go and what would be a healthy level, right? So for a lot of people who are not leveraged, I think this range is going to be something really cool, right? 26. And those who are long term, they would most likely argue that I believe that this should be the range 25,200, 25,300, close to that range, because that happens to serve a long term resistance. So once you break that level, you expect it to come back, retest that level, right? So when you actually jump on to the daily chart in the same region for the same asset, now what you're observing here is that, okay, that was a big candle to the upside. If we come back down, that's going to be a huge opportunity. But my thought process here is that, okay, we got a big candle to the upside, and the price did move up. So the big volume of buyers coming in did push the market or the sellers big time. Now, the next one is actually a little bit less in selling volume, but not a tiny selling volume, right? That's something you have to understand, because last time when we were having similar volume and sell, the price was dropping big time. Here, even with that amount of sell volume coming in, you did not actually happen to see the market dropping like that. So the sellers compared to the buyers are really weak here. And I would actually put that argument saying like, okay, that means a lot. Now, what do I mean by that means a lot? Because when you actually take a step back, zoom out, this really looks good. Meaning, one of the easy stuff which we all here can understand, because we are here in the market for a long time. We got this, which is around a top, and we drop back down. Great. Now, in the same cycle, in the same wave structure, you are actually getting this. So right now, we are observing this movement in a lot of altcoins, which seems to be really bullish, because you are getting this pattern, and usually historically what follows is something great. Now, in the same idea, you actually look for the price and the moving average. What happened here looks really similar to what happened here. Now, there are people who still say this is a big red flag, meaning some of them actually give you the highlight of, like one of the tweet which I saw and I felt interesting was like, they were actually putting the argument that Bitcoin just did about 35, 36% for the week, and they think this is a trap. So if you are a bull in this range, now your confusion is that true? So I would actually urge you to go back in time, check for candles and see like what the price has done in a week. So while you actually go back, you do see a lot of candles which are really big, right? So that is not a big issue here. What should be for all of us is the range, the price history. So this range, we have broken that. Now that range becoming a real support is what we are looking at. So we do have another 24 hours to go through for the weekly candle close with the volume. Because, say this with me, we are bullish. Why? Because look at this. Last time when you had this level of volume, we were breaking through. This time you're getting even higher volume. There is a chance that more people will come into this asset. Now, for them, Bitcoin can be the crypto. Initially, when they're entering the market, they are only getting the names like Bitcoin, like Ether, and they're entering the market. But after that, they'll go to other assets for sure. But while they enter into the market, into the crypto market, we will actually see some movement like this. And when they enter, and initially, while you put in money and you see 20-25% move in a week, you are going to take profit because you are new in that market, right? Now, we're going back into that short-term scenario, short-term charts, and we are looking for like what would be a ultra bullish thing to happen in this market. That would most likely look something like this, right? If you're consolidating inside this range, meaning it's a tight range, and if you manage to break this to the upside, that means sellers are too little, or whatever they are selling into the market, or whatever people are even taking profits and dumping into the market, buyers are getting so hungry to buy that up. But being here in crypto for a very long time, I would actually think like, yes, I understand that this can be a possibility. But what happened? You went up, but came back down, consolidated before the next leg up. But you did have this move. So even if you missed this one, you had the run to the upside. So now if you go on a 4-hour chart and try looking at different candles, I would actually look like, okay, you ran to the upside and the price action actually showed you that the price is wicking lower. Meaning, yes, sellers were not able to push the price to the downside and close it there. Buyers pushed it back up. But compared to all these candles, sellers were able to push the price lower, which shows buyers were weak at that time frame. That kind of shows you like, okay, this can be a reason, an area where some of these sellers enter and some of the buyers become profit takers. So that means you may actually slow down, come back down to 26,000, 25,000. That is still going to be a healthy level. Remember, on the weekly, this is what you're looking at. Your range is here. You broke through that one. So if you think it's going to be a fake out, then you need to close the next week in this range. That's below 23,000. Now, which I think is going to be having a slim chance, can be maybe 1%, right? Because the level of buying momentum you saw here and that follow up here shows you the market is now in some kind of FOMO, right? One way or the other, the market does show you like it is in a FOMO level. Great. Now take this information and move on towards the altcoin segment. We're looking at Ether first. We had this range. We've been inside that range for like months, and now we broke to the upside. Now, while we do this, we also understand, okay, this is the pattern. It's a right angle broadening wedge, descending broadening wedge, and we may actually say, okay, the average movement can be this. But usually when you go out from accumulation range, you go for the maximum. Fine. You can actually plot both of them saying these are my two targets. Fine. Now, what do you understand by that is that it's not like you're going to directly go to the upside. Once you usually break through a range, most likely we see a retest. So what is healthy, in my opinion, is that this range, we broke that. Great, cool. Now the market come back down, consolidate and go back up. That is a healthy thing to observe. Now, it may not be on the same time frame which you actually see those movements. It can be on the shorter time horizon, right? And one of the reasons for that, which you can validate, is that you got this pattern which is a higher high at the same time when the RSI is showing you a lower high, which shows you the strength on this time horizon is reducing, which kind of gives you a little bit more sense that, okay, you don't have to FOMO in, you're going to get better buying opportunity, right? So if you are a buyer in this market looking for good opportunities, you may get a little bit of drop in the price. Now, first thing, when the price drops in any time horizon, it's tending towards the other end, meaning it's if your support is 1700, most likely the price would dip a little bit lower. So it's really important for us to look for a daily level which would be healthy support. So now it says a little bit lower can still be fine. But that's one of the reasons why we usually look for a zone. Why? Because this was a resistance. That happened to be a resistance here, but then it increased, changed till here, right? So this is going to be your wide range of level, which you should be eyeing at. The bottom for the same would be here in Ether, 1660. So if the price on the short-term narrative is actually coming into that range and bouncing off, I would say that is really bullish, right? You actually got the leg 1, leg 2, leg 3. If you want to get clarity on that, you can go on to a short-term horizon and just focus on the price action. And here we actually see the same thing which we talked in Bitcoin. You actually get these moves, right? You get to move 1, you do the 2, you do the 3, and then you do the ABC. So you actually get the 5-wave structure to the upside, then followed by an ABC correction. So that's why I'm actually a little bit confused here. On the short term, you got a small one, then it happened to be this. But if that's not the case, then this is wave 1, wave 2 structure here. You may actually do one more before you do the ABC correction, right? That's still a possibility. But if this leg happens to be already in that trend, now what we would most likely see is that, okay, this kind of broke out, did the wave 1, did the wave 2, now wave 3. which gives you an idea to suggest that, okay, we put in a double top on this time horizon and we are going to do a B, C. Now, that's something which would be followed by a lot of these altcoins. So when you actually see small dips in the altcoins, don't just focus on the daily drop. Look at where they are in the weekly. Because if that weekly is negative, now you get to look deeper into that particular asset. Say you go look in the same asset class, you're looking for some of these are in red. What do you make of that, right? So now you go here, makeup. Fine. You'll have to actually look for like what really is happening in that asset. Did it fake out? What the hell just happened, right? So you go on a daily time frame, we see that it went up to 955 and right now it is dropping right below 700. So what is happening on a longer time horizon? You go on the macro, which is really important to look at, and then you want to make sure you see the trend. Here, this is the trend. So it's really hard to say we broke higher and got the confirmation because it was literally like a fake out. Now, on the RSI side of it, we are looking for the strength and we do see like, okay, there is a possibility that the RSI suggests that you are retesting the broken range. But that does not give you the idea on a short-term narrative that you are still going up. You may still get a correction because the way I see this, you broke to the downside, you retested the moving average, you did not break back up, right? So that's a concern on the short-term horizon. On the macro, you're still in the accumulation range. You haven't actually started the markup phase. So this is just a short-term consolidation range. But yes, you can actually put this and say, okay, we do see that the price is consolidating in a corrective channel, which means you may go up. So it's really important to actually look at these assets which are in red to understand what the macro structure looks like. Because some of these assets, when you observe, say for example, mask, you look for like it's really moving a lot in this week, right? So first thing is like, okay, are we going parabolic, right? So you cannot literally go on a macro chart of this and do plot a couple of support resistance, and here it happens to be like this. So it's following Bitcoin. It's kind of giving you that idea that on a weekly you are literally getting a bull flag, which is literally good, meaning you break that level to the upside. But my concern here is the RSI is not at least joining that level of strength. So you may get resisted or rejected at a significant level. That's what we are looking at, right? Now, from the current price, that still is a good run up before you actually get rejected. That is not saying this asset cannot run up. It can go higher on the shorter horizon. That is what the price action suggests. But what we are looking for is the resistance level, and the short-term horizon shows you like what we saw on the macro as a resistance, like the strength is not up to the last level, is now visible as a resistance on the short term. So this is why you actually look for the macro and then the micro to see whether the macro aligns with the micro. That's where you take your judgment. At least that's what I do. Now, going back into XRP, right, we saw this. Yes, this is actually a great pattern which actually shows you are not actually dropping, dumping in the market. You're still holding on to this range and you are inside this range for some time. But that's not saying like you're ultra bullish, you're pumping, you're crazy. It's 4 more time. I don't think so. Because I still see people saying, okay, you're going to go to $100, $1,000, blah, blah, blah in the market. But let's be realistic. Right now, we know this is one of the greatest assets created inside this technology. And we are holding on to this level of support. That's on this time horizon. So what we should be looking also at is the macro structure. Right? Can we actually break through this level? If we do, that's actually a great indicator saying, okay, we are getting some signal from the RSI after a very long period of time that we are gaining strength. So for me, I would focus on this range saying, okay, if we can break through this level, that is going to be something interesting in price. Maybe something positive when the news comes out, you burst through. That's something which can happen in the market. Now, you go back on the monthly. Now you literally have to look at the monthly on a lot of these assets to literally observe what the market is doing on the macro. Now, why do I say that? Because when you go on the monthly chart, take out all these indicators, bring clarity. This is what's Ether showing you. Like, it is breaking through all these range, right? Which is literally following Bitcoin, right? Now, that's not saying like Bitcoin is the greatest asset in the asset class. It's the oldest. But what we have to understand is, yes, the market is following this asset for the time being, and it is showing more strength. So as we go on to a monthly, it is still showing you the bullish structure in most of the asset in the entire asset class. So while we look at the XRP, we still have not managed to get 2 continuous bullish month, which is a really important signal, because every time when we actually happen to get this, it kind of showed you a signal that, okay, we are about to turn bullish. So here we got a couple of them, slowed down for a couple more months, but then bursted, right? But here we're still waiting for 2 more months. So if in that 2 more months, Bitcoin is going through these level and reaching like 40,000, XRP may actually turn bullish. But we still need to see that movement, because the move usually happens to the moving average first, and here that can be 0.6. And if that happens to reject the price, now that is a pain, right? We need to actually sit through this, look through what's happening, because on the other end, we do see a lot of these assets which are actually doing 50, 100% weak, which is actually a good ROI structure, showing you how the macro signal is changing in them. So if you are in the market, make sure you do understand that this is happening. And if you are looking at all of these assets to understand where the resistance is, what the pattern is, if you want these kind of details, you can look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below. So now, macro is this. Now, this is a monthly candle, right? So while we talk about this, keep this in mind. We still have 12 more days to go through. And by the close of the monthly, we'll be still re-evaluating what's happening. And we've been doing the same, and at least for the last 6-7 months, while we do this, it is happening, right? The way we follow this, short term, medium term, long term, it kind of gives you the ability to understand what the hell is happening in the market. So while we go back in, before we close down today's video, it kind of literally wants to see that the level of strength. Are we going to retest this level and get back up, or get rejected? Because if we are about to get rejected here, now the levels which I talked initially in this video is going to come true. You're going to drop from that level. You're going to test that level of support and see whether that hold. And the key structure you have to understand is, when the price is dropping, is it actually dropping like this? Then that means you may bounce up and then again go back down, right? Or are you bouncing like this? Now, in an hourly chart, it's going to be really hard to observe. So you'll have to literally slow down into a 2-hour, into a 4-hour chart to see what really is happening in the market. Because here on a 4-hour chart, you kind of got the clarity, right? You actually had a range which you actually broke above. You then did 1, 2, 3, right? You then did the ABC. So now, while you see the 1, 2, 3, now you also have to see a ABC. And if that's the ABC structure on a 4-hour chart, the initial range which we talked, the previous resistance turning into a support, is going to come back. But that's not saying like it's a bearish segment. What I'm suggesting is a move like this. Imagine Bitcoin price running towards $35,000, $40,000 in coming months, maybe just in 30 days or 40 days. That's going to be amazing, right? So always be hopeful, always be positive. Don't just bite on all these negative sentiments saying, okay, we are going to drop back below this level, we are going to go to 15,000. That's hard to believe at this point, right? We went through all this through that time period, and we've said the same, and we repeat the same because we believe that it is happening. On the macro, you are seeing a reversal. One of the reasons is this range which we talked last time. Here you don't have too much resistance, and now that happened. You went up till this range. That worked out. Now this is the range of supply demand. Once you break this level, which is going to be 31, you are now running all the way up to this level, which is going to be $36,000, $37,000. So you will see a lot of surprises in the market, but be prepared and be ready. Guys, if you like the video, Please do hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. And I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye-bye.